So earlier this year, there was a really good movie that came out around January, and it starred Keke Palmer and SZA. That film is titled One of Them Days. I thought this movie was hilarious when it came out earlier this year, and I watched it again this time around, and I thought it was even funnier the second time I saw it. And it's just one of those movies where you just kind of enjoy it from start to finish. And this movie really does feel like a love letter to Friday, but also like black comedies from back in the day in general. But I usually say Friday because it's like it was two people, they had to get some money, they had to deal with the situation. If they didn't, they was gonna get killed. To say the third, the ending kind of happens. Except this has more of a straightforward ending than Friday, because if y'all remember from Friday, they had the little skirmish, Big Worm and his homies, but then they dip off and you don't see them again. But then the fight with Craig and Debo happens, and that's the climax of the film. We know Smokey has that conversation with Big Worm, but that's about it, and that's all we really know. Now, as far as this movie is concerned, there's more of a resolution to the ending as things come around with the person they have gotten into runs with as far as the money. I love when stuff is set in LA. I don't know what it is about the LA setting, especially like in those neighborhoods. Everything just looks so natural and vibrant in those neighborhoods, even though they're supposed to be pretty rough areas, but not that rough. But also, like, it's hard to pay rent there, according to the movie. But yeah, but I will say I do like the fact this movie starts off with Keke Palmer's character. I can't remember her name right now. Why can't I remember her name right now? But she is, working at a diner. I think she even works two jobs at this point just to help them pay rent at their apartment. And when you get the situation that they're going into, Drew, there we go. Her name is Drew. Drew and Alyssa. And you see, she just wants to go home, go to bed, hair messed up, everything. She's having one of them days, right? And hard day at work. The dishwasher stops working, all this other stuff, this and that. She got the rent money. She gets to her friend. Her friend has this toxic ass dude that she's with that's just dumb, Alyssa. And you find out he took the money, even though they were supposed to put the rent money in. So this is how the movie kicks off, right? And then Keke Palmer, I swear, is a national treasure. Pretty much every scene with Keke Palmer where she gets to be funny, she lands everything. SZA, for being her acting debut, gotta say, solid performance. Real solid performance on SZA's part, which really shocked me. Now, on the other hand, I will say this movie does have a lot of like really good moments that kind of come back later. It's one of those films where you don't think this is going to have a comeback, but then it does. But I'd rather people experience this movie if you haven't for yourselves. If you haven't seen the movie by this point, that's crazy. This movie was in theaters and I enjoyed every bit of it in theaters. Gotten to see the audience reactions, people laughing, me laughing. It's just such a fun time in theaters. The one scene in particular that I will talk about is the scene where they have to go get the loan to try to pay the rent, and Cat Williams shows up and he's just outside the window, just warning them like, "Look, don't do it, please don't do it." And they look at the poster and it says this is the interest rate, and she's like, "Damn, I thought that was a year of establishment." That joint is funny, yo. But outside of that, the movie is legitimately funny. Like, I do think like that might be my favorite scene. I'm not sure, but it's one of them. It's just so great. You got whatchamacallit from Abbott Elementary is like the messed up nurse that just got hired. Janella James. You get Dominique Perry. If you guys know Dominique Perry, she played Tasha on Insecure, which was another Issa Rae project. Maud Upto was like the white neighbor that moved in and is treated like this big deal. You get a lot from this movie. You get a lot from this movie. Oh, it's just like you just don't expect to get the joy that you get from this film until you go see it for yourself. It is just one of those things where you just kind of be like, man, I miss movies like this, and that's how I felt when I was in there. I was like, yeah, this was definitely like Friday. This was like two women instead of two men. L.A. Oh yeah, yeah, I think Friday's in LA. I'm tripping. Friday's in South Central. I'm dumb as hell. So both movies take place in LA. It's a guy, two guys that get in some money troubles, two girls that get into some money troubles, and they gotta solve the problem. By the end of the movie, by the end of the day, one day film, it's all solved. And it's just so funny. I was like, man, this was Friday. Like its own modern day take on the film, a little bit more clever than Friday, I would say, but definitely a good love letter to Friday nonetheless. I mean, this is the 30-year anniversary of the movie. I literally did my review on this earlier this year, and I'm doing this movie to kind of like bring that up again. It is a film that I think lands in a lot of the parts that it should. And if there's any parts where people don't think it lands, I might have to argue it because the whole point was it was one of those days, but they came from it better than they were yesterday, and that's the point. Some heartbreaking moments as far as just like Drew's interview getting messed up because of Big Booty Keisha and Alyssa having their little difficulties. That scene was funny too, yo. Just every little comment. I do like that they both kind of end up in a higher note. You do find out early in the movie, even though Alyssa's a pain in the ass, that she is a talented artist. She's a very talented painter. That comes back and has some resolve at the end. Like pretty much everything that's there mentioned straight up. And if you pay attention at one scene, there's a hint there that kind of hints at what's going to happen later. But you have to be paying attention. And if you have Netflix like I do, you can pause and see it and be like, "Oh, it was always there to begin with. It wasn't just randomly there down the line." And that's the part that's funny. So it's like there's so much little just details that they threw in there. And I gotta say, Issa Rae is talented. Issa Rae was always talented. If you liked Insecure, you'd like this too. Issa Rae is just really good at putting things like this together. Now I know she didn't direct it, but I know she produced it. So that's her name is still on it. She might have written it, not completely sure, but I know having Issa Rae's name attached to it did kind of give it a little more push. Also, having Keke Palmer and SZA also gave it a good push. So there's some good names on this movie. It is just one of those things where you need to think like they actually shot on location. You can tell they're really running through L.A. in this movie. You could tell maybe the store that they went into, the little like loan place was probably a little set or something, or a building that they borrowed and put it together. I thought churches closed down for good, but I think churches is still active in LA. I don't think we have any more in Philly, which is sad because I used to love churches, but neither here nor there. I will say the romance in this film is interesting as far as Keke Palmer's romance. Not a big fan of it, but I do love the outcome at the end. Like, at first I was thinking they were going to go full on into it. And then at the end, at the last second, it was kind of like a surprise thing that happens. And I was just like, oh, thank God that's not the route they were going. Thank you. Um, so yeah, there's so many things I do love. The Oh, a little trivia thing. The hot Cheeto martini, I think Kiki Palmer and SZA actually came up with that. Like I think they were like actually kind of messing around and they actually invented that on the set of the movie and that made it into the film. So that's a nice little touch. Like they actually invented something that made it into the film. I don't know how many people have tried it in real life. Someone's had to have, right? But the fact that they actually invented a martini is pretty damn cool. Will say the one thing I appreciate is that SZA being one of the hottest singers out right now, they didn't try to make her sing in the movie. Like they made her an actress. She was just an actress in this movie, and she did a damn good job. I'm very impressed with SZA as far as acting. I would like to see more stuff with her, but I'm not banking on it because it doesn't seem like it's her thing either. But Keke Palmer is a national treasure. I said it earlier in this video. I'll say it again. Keke Palmer is just the bomb. I loved her ever since Tequila and the Bee, Medea's Family Reunion, True Jackson VP. I've loved Keke Palmer for years at this point in my life, and she is proven she's still fun to watch. So yeah, if you guys like Friday, I definitely would say you guys should give this a watch. It is just a very fun time. You get to laugh, no real frustrating messaging or anything like that, or like it's just a funny movie, and it was allowed to be funny, and it was allowed to breathe and be creative, while also borrowing elements from past successful projects. So if you guys like that type of thing, I would definitely say go see one of those days either on Netflix or buy it or however you can find it. And with that being said, make sure you guys like, comment, and subscribe for more, and I'll see y'all on the next one.